Welcome to EduRev.
Hello everyone, welcome to your Derive. In this video, we are going to continue our discussion of the first chapter of 6th standard NCERT Geography, the Earth, our habitat. So let's just continue. Now, let us discuss about the Earth. The Earth is the third nearest planet to the Sun and it is also the fifth largest planet. Okay? Now, what is the shape of the Earth? Now, this is very important. The shape of the Earth is not a perfect sphere as we imagine it to be. The Earth is slightly flattened or it is slightly compressed at the poles, and the Earth also slightly bulges at the equator. Okay? So the Earth is slightly flattened at the poles and it bulges at the equator. So its shape is geoid. It is not a perfect sphere. So please keep this in mind. This is very important. Okay? Now, what is the most special and unique point about the Earth? The Earth supports life. Now, as far as we know, Earth is the only planet in the universe that has life, as far as we know. Now, there might be many more planets out there which can support life. There is a very good probability for that. But as far as we know, Earth is the only planet which supports life. Now, the Earth is not very far away or very close to the Sun. If the Earth is very close to the Sun, the Earth will be very hot. If the Earth is very far away from the Sun, the Earth will be too cold. The Earth is the third nearest planet to the Sun and it is at a perfect spot. So the Earth is neither too hot nor too cold. It has air and water, which are very important for living organisms. Clear, right? Now, along with the stars, on most nights, we also see the moon, our only natural satellite. Now, previously, we have discussed that Earth has only one natural satellite, the moon. So, in a night sky, along with stars, on most of the nights, we can also see our moon. Now, we can see the full moon or Purnima once in a month. So, this is how Purnima looks like. Very beautiful, very bright, shiny, and beautiful. And the moonlight on Purnima, that is a heavenly experience. So, we can see full moon or Purnima once in a month. And a fortnight later, we cannot see the moon at all. It is called new moon night or Amavasya. So please remember these names. Clear? Now, the moon appears at different times, in different shapes, and at different positions in the sky. We all know about this, right? So let us discuss about that once. So these are the different shapes the moon appears from the Earth. Sometimes the moon is visible less than half. Sometimes the moon is visible exactly half. Sometimes it is visible more than half. And sometimes the entire moon is visible. And sometimes the moon is not visible at all. We call it as Amavasya or new moon night. Okay, now, why do we see these different shapes of the moon? The answer is very simple. The moon revolves around the earth. We know that the moon is our natural satellite. So the moon revolves around the earth. And at the same time, the moon also spins around its own axis, just like Earth. The Earth spins around its own axis, and the Earth also revolves around the sun. The Earth spins around its own axis. That is the reason we have night and day. In the same way, the moon also spins around its own axis, and the moon also revolves around the Earth. So that is the reason we see different shapes of the moon and at different positions and in different time of the night. I hope you understood this. Now the moon moves around the earth in 27 days. It also takes the exact same time to complete one spin. So that is the reason always only one side of the moon is visible to us. Okay, so let me just explain this. The time taken by the moon to finish one revolution around the earth is 27 days. But the moon also takes the exact same time, 27 days, to finish one spin around its own axis. Now, for comparison, Earth takes 365 days to finish one revolution around the sun. Earth takes 24 hours, roughly 24 hours, to finish one spin around its own axis. But moon takes 27 days to finish one revolution around the earth and also to finish one spin around its own axis. So that is the reason always only one side of the moon is visible to us. The other side of the moon, called the dark side of the moon, is never visible to us. Clear, right? Now, what are constellations? The different patterns formed by the stars in the night sky are called constellations. Now, in the night sky, we see so many stars, and it is our human tendency to group the stars into particular shapes. Those shapes are nothing but constellations. I hope you understood this. Now, it is the natural human tendency to connect various dots and to form patterns out of it. In the same way, in the night sky, we see many different stars, and we tend to group those stars into particular shapes and sizes. Those shapes are nothing but constellations. Now, the Saptarishi or Seven Sages constellation is one of the most easily recognizable constellations. So, this is the Saptarishi constellation. There are seven stars 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we have grouped these seven stars into a particular shape. So, this is one of the most easily visible and easily recognizable constellations in the night sky. Now, the Saptarishi is actually part of a much larger constellation called Ursa Major or the Big Bear constellation. So, this is the Saptarishi, right? It is part of the Ursa Major constellation. Okay. So, the stars in this constellation have been shaped into the shape of a bear. So, we called it Ursa Major or the Big Bear constellation. As simple as that. Now, in the ancient times, people used to determine directions during the night with the help of stars. The North Star or the Pole Star always indicates north direction because it is always in the same position in the sky. So, the Pole Star or Polaris or North Star is always fixed at the same point in the sky and it always indicates the north direction. So you can actually locate Polaris with the help of the Saptarishi or Seven Sages constellation. Just join these two stars with a straight line, you'll come to Polaris. And Polaris is part of another constellation called the Ursa Minor or Small Bear constellation. Clear? Now, what are asteroids? Asteroids are rocks revolving around the sun that are too small to be called planets or even dwarf planets. These are just space rocks that are made up of minerals, dust, ice, etc. And these are very small to be classified as a planet or even a dwarf planet. There are millions of asteroids ranging in size from hundreds of kilometers to a few feet across. And they are found between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. So, the orbit of Mars and Jupiter. Between these orbits, you have millions of asteroids revolving around the sun, and we call it as asteroid belt. Clear? So this point is very important, guys. Please pay attention to such points because there is a very good probability that they might be asked in the exam. Now, what are meteoroids? So sometimes two asteroids, they smash into each other. First, you have to remember that there are millions of asteroids and they are all moving around the sun very fast. So there is a very good chance of collision. So sometimes two asteroids smash into each other. That will result in many pieces. Those small pieces are meteoroids. Clear? Now, what are meteors? Now, let me just explain to you the difference between meteoroid, meteor, and meteorite. Now, you have understood what is meteoroid, right? Sometimes meteoroids come close to the Earth and they are pulled by the Earth's gravity. So they fall through the atmosphere. Now, the atmosphere is made up of gases, right? So it offers friction to the meteoroid. Then the meteoroid burns up and it forms a brilliant streak of light, which is nothing but meteor. As simple as that. So let me just explain this one more time. Sometimes a meteoroid comes close to the Earth, it is pulled by the Earth's gravity, so it starts falling to the surface of the Earth. So it falls through the atmosphere. So due to friction, a lot of heat is generated and the meteoroid burns up and it forms a brilliant streak of light. Then we call it as meteor or simply shooting stars. Clear? Now, in most of the cases, the meteor is completely burnt up, but sometimes some resistant part, some small part will remain, and that will fall to the ground. Then we call it as meteoroid. So this animation will explain everything. Okay? So this is meteoroid. Now it is falling through the atmosphere. It gets burnt up. Then it is meteor. Once it falls to the ground, it is meteorite. So I hope you understood the difference between meteoroid, meteor, and meteorite. Now let me just show you one more animation for the sake of clarity. So this is how shooting stars appear. And once they fall to the ground, the remaining pieces are called meteorites. Clear? So this is a meteor. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you understood this video. I hope you found this video useful and informative. In the next video, we are going to discuss about chapter 2 of the same NCERT book. Thank you so much for watching. Keep learning and I wish you all the best.